Welcome, everyone, to the Lifting Others as We Rise Mastermind. I am so thrilled this month for two amazing reasons. One of them is I'm back in the saddle with my very good friend and partner, and we used to call ourselves the Property Sisters, and we might again.
We just
Barbara
might.
Legg, who is my very good friend from the San Diego market, and we are surely sisters from another mother, and we have worked together for years and continue to look forward to collaborating with her. And we're collaborating on this webinar today. Very excited. And of course, our special guest and the really reason that we are here today is Mr. Russ Laggan, who is our VP of Growth for the West, but we like to just think of him as the VP of Growth and also the super expert in the diagrammatic explanation of co-sponsorship. So I thought it would be super clever by using the old everything you always wanted to know about sex but were afraid to ask for the marketing. And YouTube didn't love it. So it kept like a lot of stuff kept getting stripped off YouTube. So we'll see what happens with the replay on this. Um, you know, anyway,
Maybe
I got to
maybe
stay
maybe
out
you
of
could
it.
rephrase to everything you wanted to know to not get screwed.
Yeah.
That might maybe I don't know.
Now
That's
that we've kind of been living with co-sponsorship for a little while, I think some of the really big influencers have taken off with it in a different way. But the more I hear it explained around kind of, capping bonuses and who's the primary, and there is more nuance than
Yeah.
I understood. And so there's kind of that nuts and bolts piece, Russ, but also there's that piece. Raymar, would you mind pinning the three of us for this part?
Yeah, they're all.
There's also the piece of leverage and like how, stepping back from like, oh, this is something that will be good for me and my business, stepping back from that to think about how do we think about who we want to partner with that will really be an amazing service for some of the agents that we're looking to attract. That's as big a piece for me in from a service, from a service heart that I want to get my head around a little bit more, and get my head out of, what's in it for me, which of course, unfortunately, or fortunately is always my first first thought. So, with all of that being said, I think we will take a seat. Barbara, did you want to add anything?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. I do think that this is the best of both worlds, right? Where you can have two agents helping one agent get all that they can out of EXP. And I'm so excited to learn more about this from Russ. So, because I still get confused on it. And I even took the class that you did, Russ, and I'm still confused on it. So I cannot wait to hear you just explain it in layman's terms so that we all understand it.
Yeah. So I think what
Okay.
we're going to do maybe is about a 30, 40-minute presentation from Russ and then really leave it open to questions from the folks that are all on the mastermind today. So
Yeah.
with that, Russ, I think we're going to spotlight you. I can do that. There we go. Is that a spotlight?
You guys can stay in here with me. I just pinned all three of us, by the way. I did that. So you can stay in here because like this can be interactive. So like I don't want to just lecture you guys. Like let's have a conversation about this, okay?
Yeah.
So I think you guys will add a lot to this by being able to bounce some stuff off you. Is that okay?
Sure. Yeah. I can unspotlight you, but also if I know you've met me before, so shyness is not usually associated as used in the same sentence as
You
me.
saw how I started today, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I'm thinking. You don't have to agree with me. That's fine. It's
Yeah.
fine, right? So it's just information, right? So at some point through this, guys, you're not going to love everything I say, but you're probably going to like a lot of it, right? And then you're hearing some other things from other people, and you'll be like, "Well, Russ, my person that I trust didn't say that. They're saying this." And let's be clear, a lot of them are freaking wrong. So let's go straight to the horse's mouth. By the way, if you ever want to see what I look like if I was a horse, I asked ChatGPT to make what if I was a horse, what would I look like? And they're like, why would you do that? Because it's funny to me. Okay, so guys, let's have some fun as we're going through this. And here's the problem. And then let's talk solution. The problem is a lot of people don't really understand well how revenue share works. They're not super great with organization. And then when we throw co-sponsor in, it can get really confusing quick. And by the way, I'm not going to name any names, but there are high level, what we are call our alpha people with organizations over 1,000. And there's some of them I've had to re-explain this 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 times. And there's times when I'll get the call and they're like, just make sure we're clear. because I don't want to screw this up. Is this the way to say this? And I'm like, nope, that's the wrong way to say it, right? So there's some unique verbiage in here, which makes it a little weird, right? And there's some terminology in here, which is weird. And then you've got the other thing that comes along with it. You've got people that approach change from a fear-based position, and people approach change from an optimist slash looking for good stuff. There are people looking for bad stuff, and by the way, if you look for bad stuff, you're gonna freaking find it. If you look for good stuff, you're gonna find that too. So is it all fuzzy puppies? No. Is there potentially a way to lose a little here and there on something, potentially over the next 7 or 8 years? Absolutely. But when we look at this overall for most people, two things that are important. Number one, it's a choice. It's a choice. Guys, not everybody needs a co-sponsor. So people will say, well, Russ, but if everybody names a co-sponsor, you only get paid on 4 levels. Yeah, with that particular person, that particular leg, but that's 4 more levels than 0, because before they were choosing between Lisa or Barbara, and they're like, Barbara's awesome sauce, and Barbara gets them. What does Lisa get? You guys aren't in the same org. You're not above and below each other. Like Barbara gets them, and Lisa, you get nothing. Or Lisa gets them, and then what does Barbara get? And Barbara's teaching them, training them, coaching them, loving them, and you do it out of the goodness of your heart, but that's amazing. But the goodness of your heart isn't going to pay your freaking bills. You pay your bills out of the abundance in your bank account, not out of the goodness of your heart. So we got to start to say, now instead of having to work with each other out of the goodness of our heart, now we can say, now we can collaborate, because Lisa, you bring certain things to the table. Barbara, you bring certain things to the table, right? So here's what I want you guys to start thinking right now before we talk about the structure of what it looks like. Let's make sure we're clear on where your role is. So Lisa, what's in it for me? Right? What's in it for me? Well, you potentially can bring people in now that you couldn't bring in before because you didn't have what you needed to be able to be the right person for them. So for me, out of integrity, if I don't have what Barbara needs, should I really be the person that's telling her, oh yeah, you join EXP, we got you, when in fact we don't got you and we don't got a plan? Like, I don't want to ever bring somebody in not knowing that we are the ones that can help them be successful, whether it's what I bring to the table or what EXP brings to the table. A bunch of you guys have no idea what EXP really brings to the table. I know, because we got people we're talking to and they're like, I'm going to go over to so-and-so because they have this. I'm like, we have that too. And it's way better, by the way. And they're like, I didn't know we had that. Okay. So get really familiar with what we have and then say, okay, what do I bring to the table? So let's start making a checklist. What do I bring to the table? If I'm a sponsor, what do I bring to the table? Guys, you need a checklist. Because here's what happens. I asked Daniel Perret, like, hey, Daniel, what do you bring to the table? Well, we'll help you. Really? With what? Like, here's what we do really well. Here's what we are excellent with. Here's what we bring to the table. Here's specific parts and pieces. Like, if you ask me, Russ, what do you bring to the table? You're no longer VP of EXP. They've booted your ass out. You're now an agent, and you just get to do what we do. What do you bring to the table? Well, let's be really clear. If you want to build a sphere of influence business that converts at around 8% plus or minus, that's what I bring to the table. I've got a training system for that. It's got 8 modules on exactly how to build a sphere of influence doing things you love. I've got 3 recipes that are in there. They're all things that most people are like, yeah, I'd be willing to do that. And they freaking work. So what do I bring to the table? I don't know. If you want to work a sphere of influence business and hold yourself accountable to doing things you like and then learning how to convert that, I bring that to the table and I'm willing to share it. And like Daniel's now like, well, Russ, I don't have that. Can I have that? Can I borrow that? I've got people that use my training system and they're like, I use this training system and we give it to all of our people so they can, it's my training system they give out. There's a couple thousand of them in EXP, by the way. Okay. So with that said, like, you don't have that. Okay, great. So I don't have that, Russ, but I'd like to have that in my repertoire. Great. I'd be a perfect co-sponsor for you, Daniel. You don't have it, but like, I don't have it all, but I got somebody that does. Like, I don't know how to repair a diesel truck, but I know a guy that's really great at it. Do I have to know how to do everything? No. Do I need people that have skill sets that I don't have? Damn right I do. So look at this. Second list is, what do I need? Lisa, do you like training brand new agents with 0 experience and 0 sales from just scratch nothing? Be honest.
Do you want me to be honest?
Yeah.
I've got someone for that, but
So the answer is no. Okay. And that's okay, right? There are people that specialize in that are really great at that. And there's just something, it doesn't mean I don't have a great heart. It just means after doing it for 1,000+ of them, I'm over it, right? For me, like I don't want to start from scratch. Like I just don't want to, right? So do I need a guy? Yep. And I've got a guy, right? His name's Joe. I got Joe.
Do you want us to jump in with questions or wait?
Yeah, let's dive in. So let's go top level overview on this, and then I'm gonna pause, and then you
Okay, all right,
answer
go ahead.
questions, and then we'll go a different direction, and then I'll pause throughout here. Okay. So make those two lists. What do I bring to the table? And if you're like, Russ, I really don't bring a whole lot to the table. Okay, cool. What does EXP bring to the table that you can plug people into? Guys, you all have fast cap. Okay. If you don't know specifics about a state, like I bring somebody in, Barbara, you're in California. Like I know California pretty well, but I don't really know boots on the ground. Like if you're like a Temecula specialist, not me, right? So could I potentially have something like, what do I need? This guy needs somebody on the ground that's going to hold his hand, a mentor, coach, trainer to like train them from scratch. They need a person on the ground. Cool. I need somebody on the ground in a specific area for that person. Cool. Good. So we can start to build out those lists, right? By the way, Joseph Limo loves training new agents, and he's great at it. He's the most patient human in the world. He's a beautiful dude. He has a whole system for it. Okay. So, with that said, first things first, you get really clear on what you bring to the table, what you need. And then if somebody comes to you and they say, hey, I really need this, if you got it, cool. Just sponsor them. If you don't got it, let's drag somebody in that can. If you don't got it, but somebody above you in the organization has it and they're willing to train them, then you got it. Me or somebody in my organization brings this to the table, you got it, right? If you don't have it, cool. That's a perfect opportunity for co-sponsor. So do we need a co-sponsor on everything? No. We just need them where they can fill in the gaps of what we have and don't have. This gives everybody in the company the ability to bring people into the company and make sure they don't fall flat on their face. Because I don't know about you guys, I can't see all you guys, but if you put your hand up, like if you bring somebody in, will you be great at getting them up and running and getting them all EXP'd and getting them all ready to rock and roll and selling houses, being successful? Do you have a skill set for that? If you don't, that's okay. Most of you guys are selling houses. You haven't been running brokerages and teaching, training, coaching people. But now you have the opportunity to bring somebody in just like Daniel, just like Barbara, just like Lisa, just like me, and they got a damn good shot at being successful. That's a win. Yes, leverage. Boom. Now you have leverage. Okay. You have the ability to make sure somebody's successful. And that's the ultimate goal of being a sponsor or co-sponsor. I don't have to teach them, but I need to make sure I can connect them so that they get what they need. Okay. So I'll pause. Questions.
So the first question I had, well, let me open it up. Anybody else want to jump in with a question at this point, and then I'll throw my question out. Okay, doesn't look like it. So you said mention a checklist. Are you seeing like those kinds of, what exactly when you're talking about your skill sets, like
Yeah.
be a little more, I mean, I get the new agent, but be a little bit more. I mean, obviously I think about luxury, that I do have that skill set, for
Boom.
sure.
You bring luxury skill set to the table. Okay, so brand new agent skill set's one. Experienced agent skill set number two. Am I a master at time management? Okay, so like you guys have, I don't know if you guys have seen this. You guys have probably seen this around. This is my curve of your career, right? Real estate agent starts down here. By the way, this is chapter 12 in my book. Because I get to the point where like now you can understand when you're talking to people, figure out where they are. If they're just like, I'm just focused on making money, Russ, that's my first phase in business, great. If they're like, I make a bunch of money, then the next thing that's important to them is controlling their time. So if you're making a bunch of money on Friday at 6:30 p.m., Lisa, somebody calls and like, hey, I want to go see a house. Is there any way we can see it tonight? And you got dinner with your hubby, right? The answer is going to be like, no, but I can show you at 10 to 2 on Tuesday or 10 to 2 on Wednesday. Which one of those days works for you? Like, because once you get to the money, like next thing you know, like I don't want to work every evening and weekend. So do we have people who like they're making plenty of money, but they're completely out of control and then they need to clean up their time? So I'm a specialist at helping people get working on the right stuff. Like chapter 1 in my book is uh, eliminate a bunch of not figure out what you're doing, eliminate all the nonsense that doesn't serve you, doesn't actually move the ball, and then execute on the things that are actually working versus just working on all kinds of nonsense. Like, let's get clear what's working, not working. And then the second part, chapter 2, is working on the business versus in the business. We got so many people are spending so much of their time working in the business, dotting I's, crossing T's, running paperwork, going to inspection. There's a bunch of things that you can push off to somebody else. So you free up some time to be able to not have to work every evening and weekend. So instead of having to spend 30 and 40 hours on every listing, I should be spending 20. And those other 10, I can pay somebody $10 an hour on, right? Yeah. The book Be Followable. So you can go
Mention
to
your book.
yeah, I'm not promoting that as much as this rolled right. Part of the reason I wrote the book, by the way, is because this stuff is whatever, like we need to know this stuff. Okay. So time is the most important thing. So do I bring that to the table? Yeah. Right. And if you're like, I don't really know what that is, Russ. Well, good news is I got 2 chapters on exactly how to handle some of that stuff. Like, so do you have to have your own stuff? No. Can you go out and use somebody else's stuff? Absolutely. By the way, when I talk about sorting a sphere of influence to A's, B's, C's, and D's, this is straight up Brian Buffini. I give him credit for it still. I saw that. I was like, dude, that's freaking smart. So I'm like, Brian Buffini taught me this 20 years ago. And I'm like, wow, okay, cool. There is a difference between your A people and your B people, right? So what do we need? So what do we bring to the table? So somebody's like, Lisa, you know what? I like doing video. I like doing cool stuff. I want to build my business from running a YouTube channel where I add value and tell everybody about what's going on in the city. And then people hit on that. I've got my guy, Josh Otto in Naples, Florida. He's now building out his YouTube channel, talking about stuff in Naples. I was like, go to the new construction and do a tour of the new construction. He did that, shot a bunch of video, had a guy put it together, made it look pretty for him, put it out. He got 6 freaking people that reached out to him that want to do something in Naples because of that video on one video. He's like, dude, I got to do this more. I'm like, yeah. How many builders are there? Yeah. And by the way, you need to do some stuff on the golf courses too, and some stuff on cool restaurants. So like he wants to build his whole business doing YouTube. Good news is I just pushed him in the right direction, but like you need to see this guy, and this guy. These guys are the ones teaching the best stuff. He grabbed it and ran with it. So do I have to teach that? No, but do I have somebody that I know? Yeah, right. So think about social media. How many of you guys want to build your business on social media? How many of you guys are on social media all the time and don't have a single freaking closing that you can tie to something you've done in social media? Yeah, right. So is social media really a good use of your time, energy, and effort? For that? No, not
Right now.
necessarily. I'm not saying, so do I want to rely on that for my business? No, because I'm going to have to rely on others. Are there people that teach that and actually have real conversion? Sure. I'm not that guy. Now you want to, like, I've done good on the book sales with it. Okay. I've done good with the podcast that ties to the book sales on it. That's great. But as far as like leveraging that for house sales, like people don't see me as the guy here in Detroit between Ann Arbor and Detroit to help them sell a house. They see me as Russ, the real estate guy that's all over the freaking country, everywhere but home. They're like, are you ever home? So they're not going to call me to sell their house because they're like, you're never home. Right? So I've shot myself in the head for house sales because of the way I do social. But you guys know I am out there and there's nothing I won't do for you guys. If you call me, I'll freaking show up. Here I am. Right? So what do you need? Who do you need? Where do you go? So you've got to start looking at all these different avenues and just start saying, okay, cool. What do I have that can dovetail with my business? Okay. There's, and the good news is there's a bunch of flavors of it. For most people in the real estate business are stuck in this, I need to make more money. That's the most important thing. So do you have something that you have in your repertoire? Yes. If not, then do you have somebody that you can plug them in with? So you don't have to micromanage them, but they can still be successful. Pretty cool, huh? Specific enough? Good. Questions?
So each time that you're speaking with a prospect and they want to do YouTube and you realize that's when, I guess for me, I keep thinking about how are we leveraging building those networks, introducing ourselves as the person who has volunteer association leadership experience, the person who is a luxury agent, but I need, someone who loves working with new agents. I happen to have someone who I've talked to, about who's brilliant in AI, because I think a lot of people are kind of interested in that. I don't know
Yep.
if that would be a reason somebody would come over, but then like obviously, like an obvious one's commercial, right? Like some of the other specialties, land and ranch,
Yep.
some of the other specialties like that
Yeah.
that have boundaries.
Yeah. So would you like me to show you a recipe on how to figure that out?
Sure.
You said, I don't know. I don't know if somebody would come because of that. Well, I do. Let me show you that recipe. Okay. This is how important this recipe is. It's literally the cover of the book. Does this look like my whiteboard? Does it look like I draw that a lot? Yeah. So here's the recipe, guys. So like, how do you know what they need? How do you know what they'll say yes to? Barbara, let me ask you a question. What's your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Oh gosh, there's so many. Only one. Okay, my favorite.
Hold on. Hold on. Pause.
Okay.
That's an answer.
But there's
Right?
so many.
So for me, somebody's like, well, Russ, do you want A or B? I'm like, D, all of the above. Right? Like, why pick, right? Like, I'll have one of everything. Let's go, right? Do you want steak or potatoes? Steak and potatoes, right? Would you like some fries with that? Damn right I would. So, like, I didn't get this shape by not eating fries. Come on, let's go. So you just got to figure out like what that is. So Barbara, let me ask you a question. Have you ever had mint chocolate chip? Do you like mint chocolate chip?
I do. That's one of my favorites.
Did you know there's a brand called Jenny's, Jeni, Jenny's, that makes a
No.
really amazing mint chocolate chip? And what I like is it's not overly sweet. It's very creamy, and the dark chocolate's like dark chocolate. So it's like the perfect counterpoint. And they're not the little itty bitty little speck chunks. They're little like quarter inch by quarter inch with just the right amount of bite. So you get that little pop as you bite into it, and it's the perfect counterpoint to the sweetness of the ice cream. Does that sound like something you'd like?
Sounds amazing. Where do I
Wow.
find it?
Okay. So guys, like you ask them a question, let them respond, and then I propose a solution based on what they told me this is. So here's how the recipe goes. Where are you now? Where do you want to be? How are you going to get there? Most people want something bigger, better, stronger, faster. Okay. Almost all women say, I'll take all of the above minus the bigger part. Okay. If you can leave the bigger part out, I'll take the rest of it, right? Better, stronger, faster. Okay. So, but we all want something, right? So when I ask somebody what they like and they tell me what they like and then I offer give it to them, are they going to say yes? Almost every time. Guys, think about it. This is human nature, right? Human nature is Daniel Pere comes up to the freaking window. I got a sign that says hamburgers. He's like, man, can I have a hamburger? Because that's how he talks, right? Ah, man, can I have a hamburger? And I'm like, I have a hamburger right here. Check this out. Would you like this hamburger? And he's like, yes, I would, right? If they come up and order a hamburger and you offer them a hamburger, they're going to say yes. So I'm like, where are you now? What's working? What's not working? Right? What do you like to do? What do you not like to do? Where do you want your business to be? What do you want that to look like? In 10 years, what do you want that to look like? When do you want to retire? How many dollars do you really want to be making per month? How many dollars do you want to be making per year? How many dollars do you want to have saved towards freedom? Right, guys? Because see, here's the deal. If somebody needs more money, they're going to be talking about focused on money. If somebody's like, I got plenty of money, but it's like, God, my life is out of control. The more business I do, the more I ruin my life and ruin my family, right? I want to get control of my time. Cool. So if I can show you 2 or 3 things to get your time back under control, working on your business, not in your business, making more dollars per hour, working less hours and making more money, would you like to see a couple of things on that? Yes, I would. Cool. Well, I've got this guy named Russ I can introduce you to. That guy's a specialist with this. Would you like me to make a connection with you? If you decide you want to play, I can make that connection and boom, we can have that guy show you exactly how to make that happen. Oh, there's your script right there. Okay. So here's the fun part, guys. The next part on this list is freedom. Once I get my time and money in place, I'm like, I got plenty of money. I got control of my time, but I don't want to do this till I die. Right? How do I get to that freedom moment? That freedom moment is when do I not have to do it? I'm doing it because I want to do it, right? So when I'm talking to this guy, it's like if we can put you in a position where 5 years and out makes sense, 5 years and out is doable. And if you screw it up at 6, if you do a great job, it's 3. Would you like to have a conversation about that? Yeah, cool. Do I bring that recipe to the table or do I know somebody brings that recipe to the table? Pretty wild, right? But it all comes down to this whole conversation. By the way, Barbara, I can have this conversation with you. We work together, right? It's like, hey, where are you at now? What's working? What's not working? Where do you want to be? I can do this with my spouse. I can do this with children. I can do this with neighbors. Anytime I have a conversation like this, This is about them. It's all about them and getting them where they want to go, right? If I can get them where they want to go and I get them dreaming with me, like I'll ask this guy, tell me what you love to do. So if we can set you up doing more of what you love, this guy gets to do more of what you love. Do you want to do that? By the way, Chris Voss in the book Never Split the Difference talks briefly on this, but when he's on stage, he'll talk about this. And it's something I did accidentally because this has been my recipe forever. Tell me what you love. What do you love about this business? What do you love in this world? What do you love in life? If you can get somebody to talk about something they love and you are talking about, it's like, tell me about a person that made you feel really loved. And Lisa tells me about her grandmother, that grandmother that just made you feel seen, right? That grandmother, like every time you saw her, she just wrapped you in a hug and you knew you were loved. If you have that conversation with her, she's going to feel those feelings while having a conversation with you, which contaminates you with those feelings. And then those feelings kind of cross over. Now she starts to see you and she starts to connect you with something that she loves. You guys see this is not transactional. This becomes a human being business. And we start to realize this person right here might be doing pretty good, but they all want more. I want more. You want more. You want more. You just want more of what? If I say to you, you know what, Lisa, do you want more house sales? You're like, I can barely keep on the thing. Like, no, I don't want 30 more sales. And you're like, you can have more sales. Like for some people, it's like, yeah, I definitely need more sales. For other people, like, no, I don't want more sales. I need to get my time back. Keep in mind, guys, I was 120, 130, 140 a year guy in 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. With one full-time, one part-time person. You know what I thought was more valuable than anything? Freaking time. Like I can give you a day back. Hell yeah. How much are you willing to pay for that? A lot. Because it's the one thing I didn't have. I was just grinding it like a monster, right? It was no fun. So if you start to ask me, it's like, what do you love? What do you not love? I don't love the fact that I'm on freaking computer at 11 o'clock every night, banging away for this investor. It's just crazy, right? What if we could get you the same amount of dollars and not have to do 11 o'clock every night? I would love that. How do we do that? Okay. Now we've got what they're trying to get at. Once you have this conversation with a bunch of people, people start to come up with a lot of common things. That's how I ended up with the five. I know almost everybody somewhere in these five categories. Okay. One is I need to make more money. Two is I'm making plenty of money, but I need to control my time. Three is like I'm doing pretty good on both of those, but I want to get to freedom. And by the way, the person here wants freedom. The person here wants freedom. So if I can show you how to make more money, work less hours, and get yourself set up for retirement, do you want to talk about that? And this person right here goes, hell yeah, that person would love that. They sold themselves. Cool. Once you get to that point where you've got plenty of money and you don't have to trade time for money anymore, you still want to work? Barbara, you're still young. If you have all the money you need, like, are you just going to stop living? Stop doing it? Like, no. She's like, I still got stuff to do, right? What are you going to do? I'm going to go out and build a legacy. By the way, if you could do this, 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 and this at the same time, holy crap. By the way, guys, I don't know if everybody on here is EXP, but EXP gives you the ability to help people work on all of those at the same time. A little bit of attraction helps you build your legacy. You're helping other people change. You are helping other people change their lives. And by the way, you get some rev share, which helps you get to that freedom faster. And by the way, you get stocks, which helps you get to that freedom faster. So if I can show you how to get more dollars and get your time in control, and you get some stocks and you get some rev share, helps you get to freedom faster. And by the way, you're going to make a difference in this world because Barbara was in this world. The world is a better place. How would that feel? Because it's not just about me. It's about me and can I make a difference in other people's lives? Guys, the reason I have this job is because I get to make a difference in other people's lives. When people ask me for something that's reasonable, I don't want to say yes. I want to say hell yes. And then I show up full 100%. Well, I show up 90% me. You guys don't want 100%. 100% Russ scares people a lot. This is me at 90. You don't want me wound up. Okay. And then the last phase, you might say, Russ, you've only given us 4 phases. The fifth one is actually legacy also. That's phase 5. You might be like, Russ, that's legacy twice. Yeah. The only thing people want more than building a great legacy is building a great legacy. This one actually is, this is internal legacy, me building my legacy. This is external legacy, me helping everybody else build a legacy. So if I can show 2 or 3 people how to do what I did. So Glenn Sanford, by the way, Glenn Sanford's words, not mine, when asked, why are you still doing this in front of a bunch of people? He goes, because I feel like I can still make a difference in people's lives. So instead of like, I've got mine, I got my money, I built my legacy, I could stop today and be like, I'm good. I did my part in changing the world and making the world a better place. But I want to show Barbara how to do that. I want to show Lisa how to do that. I want to show Russ how to do that. I want to create 100 people that are making $1 million a year in rev share. That's part of why Glenn's still here. He's like, I made a difference. Like, I want to make a difference in other people. I want to show other people how to make a difference in other people's lives. So he's helping you build your legacy. And EXP has the ability to help you do all this at the same time, right? Does that sound exciting to you? Well, now that you put it like that, Russ, it does. Do you have all the parts and pieces you need to make that happen with them? No? Cool. Who do we need? I need a little Barbara in my life. Cool. Barbara and I can now partner up, right?
Yay.
So let's go co-sponsor right out of the gate here. Okay. Okay. So let's change the names here. We got Lisa, right? We've got, by the way, Marvin and Olive. You'll see these. I use these when I tell the story of the old lady that you knew felt loved. Olive Caldwell was a lady at our church. An old lady at our church. She's about this tall, and you knew you were loved. That woman made you feel special, right? So her and her husband are amazing. We're amazing people. They passed a number of years ago. But anyway, so I still remember that person that made me feel loved when I was a little kid. Okay. So we've got Barbara here. And then we've got sponsee. Okay. So this is sponsor. Okay. This is co-sponsor. And this is sponsee. Okay. So when somebody says, Lisa, you touched on this earlier, so I'm going to come back around to you. You're like, oh my gosh, he's actually paying attention on occasion. Who should be sponsor and who should be co-sponsor? Okay. Here's my way of looking at it. So I have people come to me and they're like, Russ, we don't know. And sometimes they're like, okay, if you're doing this, you probably shouldn't be sponsoring and co-sponsoring with each other. Heads up. Just my 2 cents. Like if you have to fight over this or somebody's trying to slam it on you, right? They're probably not the right person to be in line with. There are some people that have some really cool stuff that they're offering for other people to be able to just name them as co-sponsor. But if you don't like their terms, don't take their terms. You have terms too, right? Like you've got multiple options. By the way, you've got multiple options for people with social. You got multiple options with people with YouTube. You got multiple options with people at our traction specialist. You got multiple options. There's a bunch of options out there. So just have a couple of them in your back pocket. Or if you're stuck, you're like, hey, who do we know that's a specialist with this? Start making a list, right? So as we go in, so sponsee comes in and they're like, well, I need to, and I want to do this. Great. If Lisa, who's above you in your organization?
Tom Trong.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. He's 2 above me, by the way. For those of you that don't know, I give Tom a hard time every chance I get. I was his boss at one point. His words, not mine. Okay, so I like to bust his chops because it's funny. Okay. He's done well for himself. So you've got Tom. So does Tom bring some stuff to the table?
Absolutely.
Good. Okay. So Barbara, who's above you?
Rick Manalo.
Okay. Is he going to be directly involved in this person's business and bring stuff to the table for this? Or is he kind of more off to the doing his own thing?
Well, he'd be doing his own thing.
Okay. Who's above him?
Tom has
Enough said. Who's above that?
Well, so that's my confusion because we are in Tom Chong's organization.
Okay, cool. Okay, so the question of the day is if the people that are above you are going to be supporting this people to be successful, then you should be the sponsor. If the person over here brings something to the table and your organization is bringing the rest of the stuff to the table, then you should be the sponsor. So whoever's organization is going to be supporting this person the most should be the sponsor, and the other person that brings that thing to the table that you need should be the co-sponsor. Are there people above them going to be adding to this person's business? If Barb and her organization above her is different and doesn't have Tom in it, for example, and they've got, let's say it goes up to Levi Lassick and they want to do YouTube, Levi is going to be contributing and the people above him. If that's the case, then that person should be sponsor and kick Lisa over to co-sponsor. again, whoever brings this person to the table really has the say. But when you guys come to me and say, Russ, we don't know which one should be the sponsor, whichever person has the organization above them that's going to be the most supportive to this person should be the sponsor. And then there's times when you're just going to say, but Russ, I need the FLQA. Well, if you need the FLQA and you brought that person to the table, then you should be the sponsor because the sponsor gets the FLQA, period. So if like Lisa, you're building and you need FLQAs, then you be the sponsor.
Does anyone ever say they don't need the FLQA?
Yes.
I have not heard that.
If you are icon, you don't need FLQAs.
Okay, in your icon year.
In your icon years, 13 months, by the way. You're covered for 13 months. So if you're staying in production, you're going to be in production for a while. Do you really need the FLQAs? Not necessarily. Okay. So with that being said, are there some scenarios where they don't? Sure. I've got somebody on my line 1 and my line 2. I'm automatically open for three tiers. I don't even have somebody on third tier. So do I really need an FLQA right now? No. If I'm not really focused on attraction, I've only got 1 or 2 people here and there. I don't really want to focus on it. Do I really need the FLQA? No, probably not. But do I still bring something to the table? Sure.
I was
Okay.
gonna say, don't most EXP agents not have anybody in their downline?
No, 30% of EXP agents have at least one.
Okay, so 70% have nobody.
Correct.
So they don't care about FLQAs.
Maybe. Right. So if I talk to that person, they're like, well, I want to become an attractor like Daniel. I want to be a rock star like Daniel. Okay. Well, then that person FLQAs are going to become important.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, where are you trying to go? So does the co-sponsor care? If listen, I brought this person to the table. I brought you to the table. I'm keeping the FLQA, whether you like it or not, even if they need one. It's my sponsee, right? I'm bringing them to the table. This person brought them to the table. They'd be sponsor and asking and flip-flopping it, right? So whoever brings them to the table has a choice. And my response is always, hey, Russ, they're saying, well, hey, Russ, who do you think in this scenario should be sponsor and co-sponsor? I'm like, okay, well, who is going to have the organization that supports this person the most? What's in the best interest of the sponsee that gives the sponsee the shot at being the most successful?
I think that's the really important thing to remind everyone, because I can hear people trying to build FLQA without even having like that individual in mind. I'm not being a bad person, but just
No.
like looking at, and it feels like to me we have to keep remembering what's important here, which is what is in the best interest of that agent who's considering coming over. Because let's not, forget that's a, dicey proposition for most people, unless they're brand new. Anyone who's been anywhere else, there's a lot of baggage with that shift, right? From I used to go into that office to what about my signs to,
Yep.
how am I gonna, so.
Yep. So always my guiding principle. And by the way, just so you know, when Leo Pareja has asked or Glenn Sanford has asked, their response is, what's in the best interest of the sponsee? When we have the absolute dogfight where 2 people are slugging it out over a sponsee, I'll just sit back. And by the way, I end up moderating some of this nonsense too. I'll sit back and be like, okay, what does a sponsee want? And I'll get on with the sponsee and be like, where are you now? Where are you trying to go? How are you going to get there? And I'll be like, based on that, you need to be with that person because that person does boom, 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 boom. This person does boom, 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 boom. We want them to both to win, but we'll go like they don't know what to choose and which one to go and where they should do it, right? Ultimately, it's the sponsee's choice, by the way. Ultimately, when push comes to shove, like Barbara, that's great. I know what you say you want, but when push comes to shove, sponsee is very clear with me with no waffling at all because I asked them, where are you? Where do you want to be? How are you going to get there? Based on that, you're not the right fit for that role. Sponsee chose that, and you want the sponsee to be in a spot where they win, period. You're like, you guys have met Barbara. She's like that.
Hardly.
And do we want the sponsee to win? And for me, when somebody fights me after telling them the sponsee is clear on, like, you're not looking out for them, you're looking out for yourself. And guys, let's be clear, in leadership, if you're not looking out for everybody around you, by the way, that's in the book too. You got to be really clear. You're looking out for everybody around you. I always want to do everything that's in the best interest of the people around me. And when I do that, guess what? These people win. And when they win, I win. So you first. Pretty cool stuff, right? So this is like I have a bucket. I have a tool bucket. I just remodeled my kitchen. because apparently I'm a stubborn dumbass. Um, I did a bunch of years in kitchen bath business when I was younger, and then I started a concrete countertop company in 1999, sold it in 2005, got into real estate. So I've been in real estate since '05. So I know a lot about houses and know a lot about kitchens, and I've overseen hundreds of kitchen projects and been get dirty on a lot of them too. So with that said, I saw a couple of price tags on like they want to charge me $4,000 to rip my kitchen out. Dude, I could do that in like 3.5 hours with me and one young guy and one smart guy. We could rip the whole. By the way, it was 3 hours and 45 minutes, and we did eat a pizza in the middle of there, and the whole kitchen was gone to bare walls, right, floor and everything. So, like, I'm not paying $4,000 for something I can do in 3.5 hours because I'm stubborn. Okay. So with that said, I've got this tool bucket, and it's got a bunch of my like. If I'm tearing stuff apart, it's everything's. I've got 3 different hammers in there. Do I use the big 2-pound hammer for everything? Nope. Is it in the bucket? Yeah. Co-sponsors like that. If you need a 2-pound hammer, it's in the bucket. But most of the time, I want to use my 16-ounce smaller hammer with the straight claw because I can get in and pry it. The big hammer, whack only. The other one, I can actually pry things. And if I don't want things flying around the room because there's 2 other people in the room, I want to pry things loose instead of smacking them loose. There's times things don't want to move, and I get the big one out. And a whack, right? So I want you to see co-sponsor as a tool in your tool bucket to be used for the things you need it for. If you've got what you need and you got the parts and pieces and this person's got a best shot at being successful, you don't need a co-sponsor. Because we got people like, we're adding co-sponsors on everybody. It's like, for what? Because here's the deal. This sponsee now, if somebody comes in under this sponsee, guess what? They get all the benefit of the sponsee. They get all the benefit of Barb. They get all the benefit of Lisa and everybody above Lisa. Like, does this person here need another co-sponsor? They got everything they need, right? So realistically, does everybody in this thing need a co-sponsor? No. Like once you get a line of people, they have the support they need. Like almost everybody under there can tap into that. So do we really need a co-sponsor and everything? No, because you get me and you get Barb and you get Lisa and you get Tom and you get Tracy and you get Gene Frederick and you get what else do they need? We got what they need. They got a shot at being successful. Win. A little different way to look at it, huh?
That was really good. I mean, no,
Shocking, isn't it?
yeah, and no, it was really, really good, especially like having that conversation, like, what is it that you need and, how can I help? So that my confusion that I have, because Lisa and I collaborate a lot on a lot of stuff together, but I don't think we could be co-sponsors, right? Because we're in the same organization with Tom.
You can.
We can.
Yeah.
Lisa,
So,
we can.
Yes, watch this. Lisa, Barbara, watch this. Okay, here's Lisa.
Mhm.
Here's Barb, right? If this person comes in,
Mhm.
money will flow up here and then stops, right? So your concern is here, Tom is up here, but Tom is also up here on your side too, right? Somewhere.
Correct.
Okay?
Correct.
So when this person comes in, you get paid, rev share stops, does not go up the hill on your side. So does Tom get paid twice? No, but it does flow up this way. So does Tom get paid here? Sure. So if you're in a scenario where Tom doesn't get paid twice, you're probably good.
Okay.
Is it simple to say that just the exact person above you you cannot co-sponsor with?
The 7 above you cannot name co-sponsor. Correct.
The 7 above you cannot. So anyone above you
So
directly.
who's above Tom? Who's above Tom on your side is Tracy Gagnon.
Yeah.
Okay. So Tracy Gagnon, you can't make her co-sponsor.
And then
Right?
Scott Lewis.
Get paid and get
Lewis.
paid. Then Scott Lewis, he'd get paid and get paid. And you got Rob Flick, Scott paid and paid. And then you got Gene Frederick paid and paid. And then Elizabeth Riley's above that. So she can't do it either, right? It's funny. I know your whole family tree.
Yeah.
That was kind of weird. Okay.
So that's the main. Yeah. All right. So again, that's the main.
Anybody under Tom can co-sponsor with anybody else under Tom. Oh,
Wow,
Say
light
that
bulb
again.
moment.
Say that again.
anybody under Tom can co-sponsor with anybody under Tom.
The biggest way to look at it, I think,
Going this way, not this way.
And to me, Russ, is two things, right? Who's got the relationship with the person,
Yep.
and who's in their immediate market that can hold their hand to help them be successful so that they don't fail in what they're trying to do. And that's where the real value of this comes in.
So maybe, right? Because if they've got some basic skills, I'm not in their market, but you plug me in, could they benefit? So it doesn't have to be market, but that is one of the options is you got somebody local on the ground. Cool. Because it's good to have people they feel like they can connect with and have a cup of
Yeah.
coffee with once in a while because we're still humans. And the more connection we have and the more connected we feel, the more likely we are to stay and stick. It's human nature, right? And by the way,
Yeah.
the stats bear it out too. Okay. But with regard to this whole, who can sponsor where, when, and how, um, there's a bunch of little nuances to it. So if you get stuck on something, guys, just don't hesitate to reach out and be like, let me run this scenario by you. And there's a very good chance I will say, let's throw it on the whiteboard. Tell me who's where. We'll throw it on the whiteboard and sort through it. But it really is surprising how many people you can actually co-sponsor with. So here's a fun part. If Tom sponsors somebody, I'm under Tom. But if Tom sponsors somebody directly under him, I'm down here. I can co-sponsor because I don't get paid twice. He doesn't get paid twice. So Tom could use me as coach. Like I'm giving a hypothetical example. I'm not saying do this or I'm doing this. Just hypothetical example because I know the names and you guys know these names. Okay. So like I don't want people like Leo, Russ said he can co-sponsor with everybody. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just simply saying that because I'm under Tom, if Tom sponsors somebody, they're above me. I don't get paid, but he could name me as co-sponsor. I could bring stuff to the table. He gets paid, I get paid, and it doesn't flow above me, so he doesn't get paid twice. So you're good. And yes, this is where it gets freaking confusing as hell. And by the way, I've explained this to a bunch of people, and they're like, that doesn't make any sense for us. Because it said not in your organization, not in your organization up. If it's down below, they don't get paid twice.
I think then that's probably the best way to think of it is if it stops if and when it stops above me, it can't, the people above me cannot get paid again.
Yep. Yep.
So let me
And
ask you, how are people successfully sharing their gifts to the rest of our community,
That's a good question.
well,
making
so
themselves like available?
yeah, so two things. We don't want people going out into the market and being like, I want to be your co-sponsor, and here's what I bring to the table. Because then it's just weird and yucky, right? But can you be very clear on social, what you do bring to the table? Can I be very clear on what I do and what I do well? Can I be very clear on what I'm helping other people do that works, right? So like you'll hear me say this quite a bit because I've given it to damn near everybody and their brother, and most of you guys have probably seen or heard this or seen chunks of this. I think I've seen you guys before and showed you guys Jumpstart Masterclass, which is my system, like 8 modules on how to build a sphere of influence business. Okay, so people like my buddy was just like, we're sending out a thing to promote your book. And he's like, by the way, there's like 2,000 people in EXP that you've given this to for free, the 8 module training system on how to build a sphere of influence business. And I've got a couple, Joseph Limo, by the way, he's got 3 different ways he teaches people how to build a business when they're brand new. And one of them, he's like, hey, by the way, I hope you don't mind, but you gave me it. So he uses it, my thing, as one of his training systems. Like, fine, like I gave it freely, right? So do people know me for that? Yeah, Joe's like, oh my God, the sphere guy, like this, using his stuff, right? So now with co-sponsor, can somebody that has stuff that they've given freely be able to actually say, you know what, if I'm going to be using your system to do that, I'll just have you as co-sponsor. Now you win, I win. They're using your stuff anyway, so why not have? So do you have some people out there that have parts and pieces and programs like that? Levi Lassik's one, Mike Sherrard's another, Gogo Bethke's a third. All 3 of them, everybody know. But keep in mind, they're not going like name me co-sponsor because they're known for that. We help people build YouTube channels that convert. We help people do social media, it converts. Mike is we do YouTube stuff that works, right? So there's a number of people that have those things. So what do you have or what are you known for? It doesn't have to be big and grandiose. Like I've got three recipes that help people get here. That's it. It's not fancy. It's actually really stupid simple. It's actually stick figure simple. So what do you have? What do you bring to the table? So Lisa, like I've got, I would say, hey, if you guys want to get into luxury, I've got 10 things that can help you get into luxury, 10 tips on how to get into luxury. And I can do that over and over and over. And by the way, if you want to get into luxury, let me know. And you might have somebody say, well, I want to get into luxury. Cool, great. Well, so here's the deal. You get into luxury, great. And then if you bring any people in, you and I can co-sponsor. I'm not your sponsor, you're not my sponsor, but the next person we bring in, we can sponsor together and help them get into luxury. Now we can be a whole wing of people that helps people get up and running in luxury. Now I can go out and tell a story. If you want to get into luxury, I've got a system for that. We've got 10 things you can do to tap into the luxury network. If you want to be touching that, or you want to be in business with somebody like that, let me know. If you
So
got
these are deliverables that we either have or we need to build.
Sure. Well, sure. I mean, you're already doing it, so just quantify it, right?
Yeah.
You're already
Yeah.
like, here's the deal, guys. Would you like a hamburger recipe? I'm talking.
No, I'm a vegetarian. No, thank you.
I was gonna say, what happened to the ice cream?
Would you like a lettuce recipe? Okay.
Daniel wants his
Take the
Daniel wants
lettuce,
your
open
hamburger
up the
recipe.
garbage can, throw the lettuce in there, and let's go get a hamburger. Kidding. Okay. But point being is like, I made some amazing hamburgers yesterday. Everybody's like, oh my God, these are amazing. What did you do with them? And I was like, boop, 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 boop. I'm like, shoot, I gotta post it. By the way, I'll post it later on Facebook for you guys. Okay. So, like, what are you known for? What do you bring to the table? By the way, I can do a pork shoulder in 5.5 hours and that little bone pops right out. Okay. If you're a vegan, you're gonna hate me. But the people that like meat and ice cream, those people think I'm great. If you like somebody that smells like a barbecue, you would have loved me yesterday because I smelled like barbecue the whole day, like smoky wood. That's what I smelled like all day, right? So, like, again, you got to keep in mind, like, I'm not for everybody. Vegans hate me.
I don't hate you.
I hate. They don't
What
like
kind,
my.
what kind of wood you use, Russ?
They don't like my recipes. Okay. Say right. Like, what if you're lactose intolerant, Barbara? Barbara's talking about ice cream, man. I like my stomach gurgles every time she starts talking. This guy, like, I can't eat ice cream. My stomach can't handle ice. Find your ice cream eaters, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna do an ice cream social once a quarter. Your ice cream people are going to show up. Find your vegan people, and they're going to show up, right? Find the people. Like, that's the biggest thing. It's like you got to get really clear on who you are and then lean into that. Hey, Lisa, here's a news flash. You ready? You're 1 in 8 billion. 1 in 8 billion. Barbara, you're 1 in 8 billion. Which means you're freaking unique, right? So what makes you unique? What makes you stand out? You're already doing this stuff. I'm just going to quantify and be like, hey guys, by the way, here's who I am. Who wants a piece of that? The people that put their hand up, they want it. By the way, vegan story for you. I was in front of a room, 300 people, and I had set this up because it was funny. I had bought a bunch of little like $2, 50-cent bags of cotton candy, all different colors, right? So I had this bag behind the stage, and I was like, all right, guys, I'm going to teach you something about sales. You got 2 ways you can do sales. One, okay, here's one technique. And I walked up to the first person in front of the row. I'm like, do you want cotton candy? No. 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 Do you want cotton candy? Yes. Really? Cool. Hold that thought, right? Put your hand up. Okay. What happened is once one person said yes, other people felt like it was okay to say yes.
Mm.
Okay. So now my hit ratio got a lot higher because that one person said yes, they put their hand up. And now the next person, and the next thing you know, I got people with hand. And I was like, okay, that's one way to do sales. It's going to take me all day to do this with 300 people. So here's the second way to do sales. Those 4 people want cotton candy, and I actually have cotton candy in the building. So who else in the room wants cotton candy? Put your hand up. And a bunch of people threw their hands up. And I'm like, you guys are going to be diabetics. And like, you get straight sugar. Fine. But the people that want cotton candy. And they're like, man, the one guy's like, it just reminds me of my childhood. I haven't had it since I was a kid. It just reminds me of my childhood. I'm like, well, good news for you guys is I actually have cotton candy. And I went and grabbed this garbage bag full of cotton candy. I'm throwing cotton candy at the people that had their hands up. Right. So the key is like, let's be clear. What do we have? And the people that put their hand up, they want that. I say, who likes mint chocolate chip ice cream? I couldn't eat mint until I was my mid-30s. If I ate anything mint, it would make me throw up within an hour. It's crazy. Okay. Now, as an adult, I freaking love mint chocolate chip ice cream. You know why? My dad had it in the fridge all the time when we were kids. It just brings me back to good times when we were kids. Okay. When we weren't getting beaten, we had mint chocolate chip ice cream around the house, and I could never eat it. Right. I grew up back in the good old days when you could beat your kids. We turned out fine.
Yeah, no kidding.
I drank
So
those.
I have a bunch of points I want to wrap us up with, but let me ask the group, are there specific questions for Russ, because we are bumping up against our time. Believe it or not, Russ has kept us entertained for one full hour. Specific questions.
I was just entertaining myself.
Yeah, no, this was
That's
so
enjoying.
invaluable. So invaluable, Russ. I mean, the first thing I got, just to kind of recap what I got, and then Barbara, please jump in. First thing is make your list. So you have a list of what you bring, and you have a list of what you need in general, not necessarily thinking about the specifics yet. Certainly what you bring very specifically. And then what you need, you might want to think about, big things, commercial, new agents, some of those like larger things.
Yeah.
And then think about who you might really want to work with, who
Yeah.
you're not going to go like this with, who, what your energies are like. Oftentimes it's really great to have two different kinds of energies to be able to have that, partnership and synchronicity. And then on what you bring, quantify what you're already doing. So everything that you mentioned, there was a deliverable involved, and so do you have deliverables about whatever that is that you bring, I mean, for me, it's a lot more about mindset. And I do have a couple of ebooks, and I hadn't even really thought about that, right? So it's some of that kind of stuff that I think we need to continue to get our heads around to make ourselves available, for others. And then what you said was the best way to kind of get that out there, what we are bringing is through socials, to kind of continue to talk about that in our social media, maybe in our little Slack communities, wherever that lives. Barbara, what am I missing?
No, I think you hit it. I think, and Russ said it too, like you're building, you already have your tribe, right? So it's just getting you out there so that people can find you, it's, you're building your tribe. So, I mean, for me, I probably have like a lot of courses and systems and things that I like to help people with, so, that's because I was thinking, okay, well, what do I have? What do I have to bring? Well, that's one thing that I have is, and then of course, motivation, I'm just like, I would be your biggest cheerleader for anybody because everybody has the potential, right? Everybody does. So but I loved it. What you bring and what you need, because there's certain things that I certainly need help with. So
Yeah, we all do. And like, you don't have to be everything.
Yeah.
Partner with the right people. So
Well, thank you so much.
Russ, thank
Really
you.
appreciate everything that you bring and all of your incredible generosity. Thank you for everything, Russ. Appreciate it.
I love
Thanks,
you.
Russ.
You ladies are amazing. So
Love
thank
you too. And
Thank
we
you.
will
Thank
see
you,
you
ladies.
in October in Miami.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Hugs for everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
See ya.
Bye.